all the time. So yeah, so today's retrospective. So I'm just giving a review of what is retrospective in the kind of process we are following in the Scrum. Retrospective is at the end of the cycle. So that cycle for us is a week, but in other companies it could be as short as like probably a few days or as long as a month, but usually just a week or 2 weeks is the usual. And then the team reviews itself such that they can improve better their efficiency. So that efficiency is usually tied to with respect to some kind of performance indicator. That performance could be the amount of how much you expected to do in that cycle and how much you managed to do. And usually there is, of course, some things you didn't do right and you want to increase that performance and efficiency. So you review every process and you identify one process that if you could improve it next week, it will give you a better efficiency. So for the next cycle, okay? So taking that in mind, so you are part of the member and you want to really, for yourself, this team to kind of grow and to kind of be efficient, right? So whatever you're going to review and whatever you're going to suggest, like, oh, we should probably improve that such that, you know, the overall efficiency will be better, is what you're trying to identify in that process. So take that in mind. Before that, for some announcements, so the leaderboard will be updated later tonight. So I think that's one thing we have just been delayed a little bit. Apologies for that. And please finish the assignments on competency radar. That's very important for us as well as for you, because that really, it's about like allowing you to give feedback on how we produce your level, right? Because that level, as some of you probably who have seen the form, it really is guidance. It kind of gives you a guidance, what are the kind of levels there are, and some of them are really just a lot higher, right? But it at least gives you, okay, what are the type of things you would do in the future. It would help you, it would help us. You influence the way we understand your previous work as well. So something like you have done, or even within the type of assignments what we have done. So if you give us the link to link, like for example, which week you kind of really performed well, I look at that one to rate the kind of the thing. And of course, I would take into account all the other weeks, but a lot more I would just say, okay, you actually identified a good week for yourself, so I would take that one as a major weight. So it would be a good way to give feedback for me to know how much you value some of your work, right? So please finish it. And I know it's a 10 slide, kind of 10 section thing, but it's not that much. It's kind of a review. It's basically your CV, it gives you a fresh look at your CV and what you know in these 6 dimensions. Please finish it, and really is useful for me to just be able to produce that before the end of this week. So yeah, I will just say again and again, try to finish it by the end of today. With that, Prosper or the team members, is there any announcement?
Hi, everyone.
I think from my side, it's okay.
Okay. Prosper?
Hi, yeah. So from my side, I'd say that for those of us here to return their assignment to Google Classroom, for me, please do that. And apart from that, everything is fine. Let's just enjoy the last day of the week. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So who wants to go first in terms of reviewing the week? What has worked for them and what have they, identified as a process that can be improved for next week? So I will type just some of these things just to not forget them. So go on. Maybe Prosper, I don't see it. So if anyone suggests a name, you can call them because I won't be able to see while typing.
So this is Lawal. Lawal is nominating.
Go on, Lawal.
Yeah, I actually nominate Emmanuel first.
Okay, Emmanuel then, and then Lawal.
Okay, yeah. Emmanuel.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Um, um, I would like what this week was really fun for me, and everything was very well done, very well done. And what I would want more of is more ladies to be leading this, to be teaching us. That's just what I want. Like people like Deborah to be more showing up more in this. He was really doing very well with everything. So I think there should be gender equality too among the teachers. So that's just what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we really are thinking on that as well. So we don't, I mean, it's not from the equality only perspective, but it's also just good to have a very different perspectives. And so, yeah, we actively search for people who from mostly within the African context, but also just that balances gender. So thanks for the feedback. Go on, Lawal.
So, hi everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
So, yes, for me the week has been interesting. So, just like I noted yesterday, I'm really excited about the development I was able to make this week and regard my ability to understand data visually. Aside from that, I mean, I now have a good understanding of the statistical modeling workflow. And also yesterday, Wamayu and Joey shared a material with me that it's quite simplistic in approach. And I mean, it has been helpful. I mean, I haven't gone through it deep, but also I'm hoping I'll be able to do that this Sunday. Since Sunday is always very free for us, but going through the appendix has really helped, give me a good understanding of okay, how do I start with this, and it's just so nice. So thank you. I think talking up and letting everyone know where I have problem will really help you. It makes it easier for me to reach out to people and they actually ready to help. I also had a discussion with Emmanuel yesterday night about modular coding. So apparently, I've been having a misconception about what is and what is not modular coding. So to me, I initially thought it's just about using classes and function in my main Python code, but then Manuel told me yesterday night it's like having a Py code and a .py code and having the classes and function in it. Then maybe you can now import it like you're importing a library, so something of that sort. So and he also told me to watch the video of the session we had with people that I will get more insight. So I just feel like so yeah, it's just better I talk about where I'm having problems so I can just reach out to people and get help. So it's quite fascinating. So yeah, thank you. That's just about it for me. Hello. Oh, have I been talking to myself?
Oh, sorry, like I was muted.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's good. So anything to improve next week? Like any process?
I would actually appreciate if we can have the next week project in the form of a team as well. I do really gain a lot from working in a team, especially when we are doing statistical modeling or maybe something quite advanced and no, not something we've done before.
Okay, great. So there is a nomination. So would follow because I think we skipped Ada, Binyam, Ken, and then Anastasia, Mwakeli, and then Wamuyu. So let's go to Ada.
Uh, Good morning. So this week has been good for me because the workload has been quite fair, unlike the previous 3 weeks. So we actually have time to understand the behind the scenes of what we're working on and not just for the sake of completion of the tasks. So if maybe you could use the same technique for the coming weeks and then try to balance the workload so that we can really understand what we're working on. And something I'd like to appreciate is how you're pushing us to embrace the object-oriented programming. I think it's really nice because it makes us mature in the coding aspect. That's it.
Okay. And anything you want to see improved next week? So you already said something like to continue this way, but anything else?
No, I'm good so far.
Okay, great. Next is Biniam. Is Biniam here? Not? So if not, Ken?
Hi. This week has been okay for me. Compared to the other ones, it's relatively easy actually. I don't know if there's anything to change because I think it's okay actually. Because the way that the document was also structured, at least you have a way to follow through, like okay, I need to do this and do this afterwards, follow it to this. I don't think there's anything to change actually. It's all good.
Great. Get that. Next we have Lawa. No, we said already Anastasia.
Hello, so good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we do hear you clearly. Morning.
Okay, so this week for me, I've missed out a lot. I explained this on Wednesday, but I've been doing so much on my own now that I cannot attend most of the online sessions. The thing I've enjoyed about this week, as Ada has said, this week the workload was not as much, so I've actually even been relaxed. I've gone through understanding each process deeply. At this point, I can explain exactly what I'm doing. At some point, before other weeks, I was just doing because you have to finish on time. And this week, I'm still behind, but I'll make it on time. And I've understood every process I've done so far. I can explain my code so far. So something else I've appreciated about this week is the fact that we have to write a blog. It's giving me a push because since week 1, I've not done another blog. And this week, I will have to do another blog for the Medium profile. So I'd really want if the writing of blog is made part of our submissions, maybe like every 2 weeks, not necessarily a week, so that we can get the discipline to continue on our own outside.
Yeah. No, I think that's just to give a reasoning. We didn't make it that much, even if we think it's very useful, because it may stress some people more, and adding more stress when the actual work is quite a lot, we thought might not be suitable. But by the time now you just know how to at least report something, and it definitely after this it gets easier because you have already practiced something like 5 times how to think up the flow and the structure. So yeah, but definitely we think it's also very useful. And in principle, we would have liked from the day one all reports to be Medium blocks, such that it adds value to you immediately. So, but great. So anything you want to improve or you want to, so from next week on, we will be a lot more also competing. And so think about that as well. Like, so now you probably your reporting will be very much a lot more different. So we still have to come up with a certain strategy. What does it mean? Is it just submission there and having your score? But also think about that, like what would be from what we have at the moment to improve in such a way that it helps you in that framework, in that kind of, in the wild. So it has been now internal, now you're gonna be slightly competing with other people in a leaderboard that's also not made up of ours, but made up of like Zindi and Kaggle. So anything in that case, just comment as well. So anything you want to add on that, Anastasia? Do you have anything you want to improve next week?
I can't think of any right now. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So Mwakeli, Muikali, I don't know which way that one. Just correct me which one.
You said you tried the second time.
Okay, Muikali.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So, my week was really good because I had experienced some connectivity issues last 1 2, but then I was still able to catch up. I went through the videos. I actually almost finished the whole challenge for the week. And I liked the amount of workload that we did this week. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. It was just like the right amount. And yeah,
So with respect to what we said, just in terms of now competing in Kaggle and Zindi, is there anything we should improve or we should, with respect to what we are doing at the moment?
I think it's okay. I have nothing to comment about that. I feel like what we are currently doing is working well for
Great.
me. Like,
Thanks. Wamuyu?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
This week was a bit stiff for me, not in terms of the content, but in terms of the community surrounding the content. Okay, I think we all enjoyed one-on-ones, the ones who've participated. So I really liked that. Maybe just something to maybe improve in the future is maybe in the invite or when you're booking, because it's like a generic thing. So it would be, I personally feel like it would be really nice to have, like, you see how on the website you have the content for the session. So maybe the content for the one-on-one, or what's the discussion point for the one-on-one, for maybe future one-on-ones.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'd like to say.
Right, so the kind of agenda or content.
Yes, exactly, like an agenda.
Great, thank you. So who's next? And do you have anything with respect to kind of, so yeah, you suggested one thing to improve on the one-on-one, but in terms of other processes for the projects, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm actually excited to hear about the competition on Kaggles, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. So nothing else to add on that.
Great, thank you. Next is Hadi. Hadi, are you there? Not, then we go to Oluwasegun.
Hi everyone. Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, so for me this week has been pretty good. I'm starting from using Tableau and like seeing everything I could do with it. I've been able to submit the interim submission. And yesterday I plan to actually go through running the whole model and trying to select the best three. So I was able to do that. Now it just remains tuning those best three, and like compared to other, like the few weeks that just passed, this week is pretty better. I guess like Ada said, if the workload could be like just like this, getting to even understand what we are doing rather than just rushing to submit it, that'll be really great. But apart from that, there is nothing more on my side. I just want to say thank you for the week. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So, Biniam, I've seen. Are you back? Can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, so I don't really have much to say. This week I'm struggling with power issues. Even earlier, while I was about to speak, it just went off, and it just came back. I'm pretty sure it will go off after like 30 minutes or so. So I'm having a hard time. I mean, like, it's very interesting. This week's challenge is very interesting, and I have good progress, but I couldn't just have an undistracted period of time that I can get my work done because of the power issues. And sometimes there's power, but there's no connection. So I'm having a hardship here. But apart from that, this week has been great. I haven't had the one-to-one feedback session yet. I think I'm scheduled for this afternoon. So this week has been great. There were less tutorials, which gave me more time to work on my my projects. So as weeks go by, the challenges get less and less intimidating. So I think I am now at the point where I can, as long as I have the internet, I can learn whatever I want and do my assignments on time. So that's all I have. Thank you.
So I take it, I don't know if anyone has an objection, I take it as like less interruption on advanced weeks, like week 6 and more, seems to give people some kind of time to work on the details and to read and kind of get more understanding, exploring on their own. Is that kind of like, is there any objection to that statement? Do you still want a lot of like activities as the weeks go on, or less activities, kind of more time for you to kind of focus and understand on details?
Well, from my side, I believe I still need quite a number of tutorials, the ones that are particularly necessary for me to do the challenge. But then I would appreciate if we can have less activities. But then I still need tutorials. I think it's about finding the right balance.
Yeah, no, I think I find it interesting because that's one thing. At first, definitely it's needed because it kind of is about focusing everyone to the same mission. And then over time, it may be exactly, we should think about balancing that such that you get, even also just, I really like everyone thinks, or at least most people think like being the workload being smaller means now you can focus, you have the confidence, you have everything, so you can focus more on the understanding part, which is very essential. So I think I like that. So I wrote it, so we'll review that as well. Okay, so Stephanie. Is Stephanie there? I think I see her, but do you hear us, Stephanie? Maybe her mic is not working. So Gerald?
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, so for me this week has been, let me say, I've had a lot of time to work on my challenge, and I really appreciated the one-on-ones. So my request will be like, instead of waiting for like having a one-on-one like once a month, if it were possible, maybe you guys are like, you don't have the resources or the manpower, but I'd request they'll be done like twice a month, because they really, I find them more engaging, and they allow you to, your teachers to like tell you how far you have gone. So for me, that's something I'd request to improve. Then the other thing for this week we had more sessions on the website, but when we were logging in, either the person who was supposed to speak was not yet ready, so we had to like wait, and then now we start asking in the Slack group, or we just leave the meeting. So I don't know what happened this week. All the other weeks were great, but for this week somehow there were delays. So aside from that, I really appreciate every other thing that the team is doing, and I really appreciated the way this week's work was like spread out. So we have more time to read, which means we have more time to ask questions and also to understand better. So that's all from me.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the delay probably it's not acceptable. Definitely we should improve. We shouldn't have any excuses, but mostly it was because of the one-on-one where some of the data science team is kind of engaged there. So they kind of, yeah, I think that we should definitely improve. But I noticed you put it, so that's good to have. So who else is there? Next is Zahadi back? Or Stephanie, can you try? Okay, I think it, then if not, then great. So I think these are good comments. I think that really will give us some kind of insight about, I think the two things to summarize them are just the workload being now slightly easier means you can focus on the part, the essential, the methods, and that's good. And the 101 has been good for people and they enjoy it. I think that's great. And an agenda for the 101 would help to have a clarity. I think those are really great points. What else I want to say? So hopefully everyone has been doing the right thing from the beginning, so they don't have to worry too much at the end. And I've seen some of the dashboards you made, really great. I think I'm very happy. And if for the last week, your Heroku, just check it if the site is not working. And if so, please update it, because I tried to check some Heroku apps and they were offline. So just make sure that it's at least running. So that's comment I have from my side. And yeah, again, just a reminder, please finish it, the competency radar assignment, so that we will be able to grade it and produce the radar plot or the skill distribution for everyone. Okay, so any question or any point from our team or from any outstanding issues before we close?
Can I say something?
Yep.
So yesterday I was looking at the what you just mentioned.
Just okay, call it radar or competency radar.
Yeah. So so most of the questions there, I personally don't have that much experience on, like, at least all of them, and like all the work I did that I can write there is in 10 Academy, like during the past few weeks.
Yeah.
So is that a problem? I mean,
no, not at all.
What's the point of the radar, and like what happens if we don't have that much experience before?
It's okay. So in principle, we wanted to, at first, I wanted to produce it from what your work in 10 Academy. But then I thought it's good to give a chance also for everyone to influence it. If you have done anything else. Second, also to, maybe we might misunderstand when we look at your work. And third, also within the 10 Academy, which projects are you more happy with? So that we can get more weight on that, right? So it's actually really a way of you grading yourself, self-evaluation, which projects were you happy, so that I can look that first and kind of make my more weight on that than, a kind of uniform weighting. I don't like this uniform weighting because everyone has good time, like time where they were good at, and then a time where they were not performing good for one or another reason. So this was a kind of a way for you to give feedback on those things, previous experience, as well as also just within the 10 Academy, which ones are you feel more proud and where you're happy, such that I put that more weight, and the rest will be still taken because, like, for example, just your progress, whatever would help, but more weight will be carried. Like I will assign more weight to that week, to the one or to that work that I assign. So you may have, for example, week 3's report more your best one, but week 5's coding probably the best one. So I can look at them differently and assign weights differently. Does that make it clear?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and it's really just to do that, some kind of self feedback for us. Great. So hopefully, yeah, anyone?
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, so in the Py files, the main.py, we were asked to automate the process. So I want you to explain what you mean by automate. Is it like we just like a user will just supply the data and then it will perform the pre-processing, build the model and stuff? What exactly are we supposed to produce after the automation? What exactly is it supposed to be?
Yeah, so have you run any script, like many of the scripts from a terminal, when you run something and when it has optional parameters, it's basically, means it's wrapping. So let's say if I get your code and I want to train on that data because you only provided the code, not the model, then I want to produce the model. And then of course I may have saved it in a different folder, the data. So I will give, okay, the data file is this, and output file for the model will be that. And so I will assign that, and then I just run Python, your code, Python main.py, -- maybe optional parameters. Data is, input that one, output that one, and then many other configurations depending on how you like it to be. It's like, and then once the model is produced, there could be a testing. So you can say like, okay, Python main.py -- test. This will be stored as true. That means now, okay, it's a testing phase, and model is, you provide the model path, and then it kind of it writes an output. Maybe then at that moment would be the output of the model. So it's kind of like you use the main to interact with your code as basically kind of the dashboard way. The dashboard kind of is the interaction, but in this case, the script becomes that part, the wrapper. It calls the right things based on the inputs and the requests. Is that clear?
Okay, so if I get what you said, we will write the code in the main. So in the command prompt, or in the command line, you call the main py.main.py, and then you pass in your data. So it will generate, it will build the model and save it somewhere, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Then
So,
is it necessary that we do another maybe functions to test based on another test data? So to use the saved model, like just
yeah, and then I mean, so make it as simple as you can. Don't like, it's like you will know once you build it, you will know what it's used for. So at first, the main requirement is that, okay, it should at least, given a training data, it should train, or given a data, it should probably even split it if you want, like into train and test, and then write the training model, and then write the test output into a file. Just simple. But look at other codes where, like, I think there is, wrapper means like there is a possibility you can pass many keywords, and that's what arg parser in Python is. So it kind of is a way to check if there is a command, then it will process it as like, okay, for example, test could be as an action item. So that means if this -- test is given, it means we are now testing, and it looks for a model. And if the model doesn't exist, it gives error saying like, okay, I don't find a model, and stuff like that. But it's make it the simplest you can. But the one way or another, what it should do is that it should take some command line like optional parameters and do training and do testing.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's not clear, please just ask it. I think it's very important.
Yeah. As it goes on, I'll ask it. Like,
try to write it, but just try to make sure it's clear for you before tomorrow, so that it's clear and you don't have confusion.
All right.
Sir, please, I have a question too.
Yes.
I'm getting new ideas. Like, this is new now to me. This I'm young. Sir, please, if we make our model as generalized as possible, like, we won't be able to focus, like, do something particular. Like, that's what I think. Like, for example, now, I'm getting ideas now that we should make our model that it should be possible that it should be either we can decide whether we want a data set that is imbalanced or a balanced data set.
No. You're getting it wrong. No, that's not what I mean. What I am saying is that for exactly the same data that we have, build a model, but then the way another person runs it shouldn't be from a Jupyter notebook. Its deployment means usually it runs from a script, a terminal. So which means that if that is the case, then the same main code can be used for many things, for using dashboard, using APIs.
I don't understand.
So it's like, it's not, I mean, the point is that write a Python main script file from which you can, using only that code, you can train or you do testing. Just that's simple. That's like, it's not about generalizing, taking another data. It's taking the same data, but that data in your computer may be stored somewhere in data folder. In my computer, it may be stored in download folder, and I should be able to pass dynamically the paths for the data, for exactly the data we gave you. Just try to do it for that. Once you do it for that, the rest is simple. Is that clear? If not, just let's take this discussion on in Slack, because it's important, but it's not that complicated.
The way I did mine, like, parameters are passed in different steps of the way. Like, that is just how it is. Like, it's not just one step, so it has to be continuous in a way.
So all those parameters, you can fix them. It's okay. If you want to pass them as a dynamic parameters, that's great. Then that means a lot of work, but it's good. I mean, if you can do that, great. But what I am asking is that the simplest acceptable way, at least, is, okay, you can fix all those parameters the way that it's fixed, but then at least make the paths dynamic. Just the way you pass the data file and the way where to output it, where to store the model, and then given a test data, do prediction, make those three things at least dynamic. Okay.
I should make what, like for example, now the test data, I should make it dynamic, isn't it? Is that what you said now?
So dynamic, I mean the paths to the test data. I don't mean the test data itself. The paths to the test data should be dynamic. That means the paths, not really the data. The test data is the test data, like the data itself. But the paths, right now you probably define df read CSV and then kind of the test data, right? Like some kind of whatever. But that path is in different computers are different. So I want that to be as passed parameter in this.
Okay, don't want. Okay. I understand that point now. Okay, I understand what you said here now. I understand what you said.
The rest you can make it fix it inside the code, but at least
yes. So the model should be constant now. All of that is research.
It should be. I mean, yeah. For if you are advanced and if you really want to do, of course, I really think you should make it as general as you want. But the very minimal requirement. So we from the team side, we can only give you the minimal requirement. And then you, depending on your skill, can make it dynamic, whatever, make it whatever as good as you think it can be. But from our side, there is a minimal requirement for which we ask you to at least satisfy. That is, make the paths dynamic, and the rest of the model can be fixed inside the code. And hopefully those are like already in the model.py. So the way you build the model is fixed in the model.py in a kind of functions and classes, and then you are importing them into the main, and then main basically just calls the functions from main, from model.py to do modeling, from data.py to do some kind of reprocessing and stuff. And then, yeah, it's a chaining. Yeah, it chains the main.py, basically connects every pipe. It's more like the pipeline, right? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. I think we're way over time, but
okay, so wait. One last thing, sir, please.
Yeah.
So what will happen here is now, for example, now I open my Jupyter notebook. The idea here is that if I open my Jupyter notebook now, I can now import main, then I will now pass my data, like I will create a function and I'll write my main, like the data file, then be able to get a result out of that. Is that the idea exactly?
Yeah, so basically, after that, after you have the data, whatever, and you basically will call only in your Jupyter notebook, you'll only call probably one function to do everything. So it would be a one line instead of everything. So it would be like in few lines, you do modeling and testing. If it's but you don't even need to open your Jupyter notebook. You could basically also do everything in the command line.
This is confusing me again. Okay, thank you very much.
Jupyter notebook is ready to develop, not to run, to deploy. Okay.
My problem is understanding this command line. This command line is sounding very strange to me. I don't understand what you mean by command line.
Excuse me, good morning.
Yeah, good, yeah.
I think we can just have anytime, and I can explain it to whoever is interested.
Yes, I think maybe can you hold on that just on like at 12, just a small tutorial explaining
12
that.
is fine with me. I think I have a notebook I can use to
just demonstrate this basic concept of like scripting, like turning something, developing something in Jupyter notebook,
and everything, and running it on the command line. So
exactly. So yeah, just you use usually Jupyter notebook to develop, and then you turn it into a script such that it can be deployed easily.
No.
Okay, so let's do that. And whoever is confused can attain that. And yep, great. Thanks. Thanks, Usman. Great, guys. So have a good hacking day. Bye. I'm just stopping.